Apartment List raised an upsize Series D after a profitable 2020, closing the round with $60 million. And there's a superstar investor who's part of that round, Andre Iguodala, NBA All-Star, now with the Miami Heat. He's also a venture partner in the Catalyst Fund, which invests in underrepresented founders and entrepreneurs in tech. Thanks so much for joining us today, Andre Iguodala, as well as the CEO of Apartment List, John Cobbs.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start with you, John. Give us a quick take on how 2020 has been and your outlook for 2021 as you run one of the fastest growing apartment listing platforms out there. Give us a pulse check.
It's been a really intense last 12 months. For Apartment List, we didn't know what the pandemic would hold from a macro trends perspective. But our belief is everyone deserves a home they love, and that has never been more true than in the pandemic. And so we actually saw record numbers over the last decade. The most searches ever for apartments was this summer. And so it's been really incredible. It's proven that consumers in America are still willing to move even in the midst of a pandemic. And so, we find ourselves at this intersection of a lot of mobility in America.
Andre, I'm curious, you're a prolific investor. I know you got a lot of accolades for being an early investor in Zoom, obviously seeing that crazy run up. What really sparked your interest when it came to Apartment List? What is it about the business model, about the executive team that really caught your eye?
Well, it's interesting how John and I met. We met through my Pilates instructor, and her husband is an engineer. So just a very bright family, and we were able to link. And I was able to go to the headquarters in SF, and I was able to have a conversation with John, and we had a great conversation in terms of what he was trying to do with the company. Obviously, when you're trying to invest in a company, you're looking at total addressable market, and you're looking at who can they serve. And then beyond that, you're looking at the team. You're looking at the CEO, the founder, and what they represent. And I've been having many conversations with many different startup founders, and you start to see you're investing more in the founder than you are, an actual idea. How can they execute? Can they lead the team? And then to see the platform, which essentially is a marketplace. You got the renters, and then you have the owners of the buildings. So you got two-sided. So I've been reading up a lot about the chicken and egg problem and how you solve that. And even before I knew about all that, John was giving me some little tips here and there about how they kickstarted things, and to see how they're profitable right now is such an amazing thing. It's a rare thing you see with startup companies, even with companies who have IPO'd or who are public traded companies aren't even profitable. We just saw a company like Netflix who's finally seeing their positive cash flow. So for John to be able to do what he's done in such a quick amount of time is an amazing thing.
Yeah, and Andre, kind of a follow-on there. When you look at your portfolio of companies, and honestly, maybe it was your time in San Francisco, but now being in Miami, we hear about this exodus, right? Specifically, the flow from perhaps Silicon Valley to Miami. Have you seen that firsthand? Do you feel as though Miami has become a tech hub? Are you getting that sense on the ground?
Well, even before the pandemic hit, we're starting to see smaller tech hubs kind of being formed throughout the country. You look at Austin, Texas. You even look on the East Coast, a place like Boston. You were talks of Cleveland, even especially with their special sector within precious metals and companies trying to start up there, and then now you're seeing it here in Miami, and have a few folks who had a lot of contact with back in Silicon Valley who are starting to move over, and you're starting to see the mayor of Miami. He's been tweeting a lot about Bitcoin. You have a lot of conversation about Elon moved over to Austin as well, and then you got some secretive moves down here in Miami with some large properties. So you're starting to see it, but I think with the that concentration of brain power in the Bay Area, I think it'll still be the headquarters of the tech space.
Right now about a third of the U.S. population rents their home with renters, being 4 times more likely to move every year over homeowners. John, when you think about that sort of a statistic, that doesn't actually solve the affordability crisis, right? You talk about how your platform has done so well because of the pandemic, but there are a lot of middle class folks who want to be buying a house right now, who thought this would be a good opportunity, but in reality, they're getting priced out. How do you think about the overall macro picture of the housing market, John, and how Apartment List can help remedy some of these kind of bigger issues at play?
Yeah, I think, by shining a bright light on the industry, Melody, we find ourselves at this kind of intersection between folks looking for a home and folks looking to fill a vacancy, whether they're owners or property managers across America. And that's a pretty integral piece of this transaction. And so, the average American family is going to move 11 times in their lifetime. And 6 of those moves are going to be in the first 12 years after they graduate either high school or college. And so there's really a lot of opportunities for us to make an impact on American consumers, especially during that renting decade. And for us, we're going to continue to grow our business to help kind of build some connective tissue between those discovery cycles so that we can engage with renters in more ways than we do today.
Andre, kind of picking up on that point, when you think about how the pandemic has completely disproportionately affected Black and Brown communities, underrepresented folks, people of color, how does, Apartment List, or even looking at future companies that you're speaking with, how does that really shape into your own personal vision, right, and mission for your legacy?
Well, that's one of the main takeaways I took from my initial conversation with John was the philanthropic endeavors that comes with the platform of Apartment List, and a good amount of homes being found for homeless women. And I have a few investors that came in before me who are leading the charge in that. I don't want to throw her name out there, but she's done an amazing job of leading the charge. And just hearing that, I was sold. Not only is this a platform that makes economic sense in terms of investing, but also serving underprivileged people. And part of our mission with the Catalyst Fund is investing in underfunded communities such as African American, female, and Latinx founders. Is also platforms that serve them as well. So not just the founders, but platforms that serve them. And this is definitely a unique opportunity that goes above and beyond just investing in a smart startup that's going to make money, but it's also serving those from the communities that I come from.
And quickly, Andre, as you think ahead to 2021, of course, you have your illustrious basketball career, your portfolio companies. What is one sort of additional benchmark or milestone that you're looking for in your own life?
Outside of tech and sports, my son's like 6'1" now, he's 13. So he's like really fast. So I got to make sure I win the battles with him this year before he ultimately passes me in height.
Or is that your dream? Your legacy will continue through your son. Thank you so much, Andre and John. Really love talking to you today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.